Another busy year in 2024 for the Upstate New York Poison Center right here in Syracuse. It's one of only 2 poison centers in all of New York State. Handles calls from 54 of 62 counties. Joining us now, Operations Director Michele Caliva. Michele, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So we're just getting a look at the data for last year. 44,000 calls overall last year. It seems like a lot to me, but kind of put it into perspective for us. Is it a high number, a low number, kind of typical to what you see?
It's actually very typical to what we see. We hover between 44,000 and 50,000 calls a year, so we're right on track again.
Okay. So I know medication-related calls typically lead the way. What else did you see a lot of in 2024?
So what had us most concerned in 2024 were the cannabis edibles, cannabis products in general, not in the adult population, but in children, particularly under the age of 5.
How many roughly would you say calls you took of that? And kind of, again, I always, when I talk numbers, I like the perspective on it. How many calls would you say roughly you took, and was it a big increase?
So last year we took about 125 calls involving edibles in little children under the age of 5. That is disconcerting, and it's a lot. Actually, it's a little bit of a trend down. We started to see a real bump beginning in 21, and then really high in 22 and 23. A little bit less in 2024, but enough to be concerned.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the level of concern there, and how dangerous can it be for a child?
So especially with little ones, the effects are unpredictable. When you eat an edible, again, if you're an adult or a child, the absorption is slower and it's delayed. So these little people can be very sleepy or drowsy for long periods of time. They can be altered. They can have hallucinations. They can have paranoia. Some even end up with some respiratory issues where they need to be in a healthcare facility. Any child that gets into a cannabis product goes into the emergency room.
So I'm guessing you would tell somebody if they have any kind of inkling that there may have been some kind of cannabis exposure, especially for a young child. I mean, you need to really get them to the hospital, correct?
Yeah, 100%. Again, the effects are so unpredictable that we have no margin of error. If you've got a little one that even takes a bite of an edible, we say go on in. Yeah,
I would certainly put that in the concerning category. Anything else as far as types of calls, like a category, I guess, for lack of better terminology, that maybe alarmed you a little bit last year in 2024?
We continue to see analgesics being right up there across all age cohorts. So little ones getting into acetaminophen or even older people taking too much acetaminophen. So we started to see again, an uptick in those types of calls. And the other thing that we've been tracking is intentional suicide attempts with a chemical or poison or medication among the teenage population. So that we've been watching that very carefully as well.
Yeah, I got to imagine similar kind of advice. So when you take something like that, what do you typically do for those people on the other end of the line?
We tell them to go in, even if it's just a small amount. But anyone that has any kind of a history where they're saying, no, we intentionally took something to harm ourselves, we recommend that they go in. What would you
say to somebody out there who's kind of sitting there going like, it's certainly not some of those more concerning categories we talked about, but they think, I don't know, maybe I should call the poison center. I don't know if this is quite the level that we need to bother them with. What would your advice be to them?
Never bother. The doctors and nurses and pharmacists that answer the phone love to talk to everyone, and they appreciate the calls that say, you know what, I'm not sure if this is really a problem. Can you let me know? And one of the best things they can say back is, nope, it's not a problem. You're right, but I'm glad you called. Also, if you're bringing something into the home, it's a plant or it's a chemical or it's a medication, call us before an exposure happens and just say, let me know. Tell me, how dangerous is this? How concerned should I be? We like those calls as well. We're happy to handle an information call.
And I think last one, as we go out on this, the good news is that you're free and available 24/7, 365. What's the number to call?
So thank you. The number is 1-800-222-1222. 24/7. Just give us a call.
Seems easy enough. Michele, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.